Orion in the Dark is proof that Charlie Kaufman really needs to get back together with Spike Jonze. Now, I went into this as blind as possible. I didn't see a trailer. I just read the title, Orion in the Dark, written by Charlie Kaufman, and thought, oh, okay, it's going to be Inside Out, but about how fears are meant to be faced. And you know what? The idea of Charlie Kaufman writing a kid's movie about that was interesting, but I was also worried that it wouldn't be as entertaining because he does throw in a lot of philosophical exposition, and I knew it was going to be dumbed down more so that kids can understand it. But even the most informative movies that can really change your opinion on something and impact your life still need to make you laugh or cry in an entertaining way every now and then, and sadly, this is a movie that I respect a lot more than I actually enjoy, but the things I respected made it okay to sit through for the first two-thirds. Paul Walter Hauser as Dark was fantastic, easily the highlight of the movie, and if nothing else, proves that he can be a better Rick than whoever the fuck else is playing Rick. His timing and delivery makes for this really energetic, likable, and still laid-back guy, and even though so many people are afraid of him, in fact his co-workers fucking despise him just for being darkness, and it weighs on his self-esteem quite a bit, he still wants to go out of his way to show people that darkness can do things, beautiful things that the light can't. That's why he brings Orion along, and he has this brilliant bit about a movie he made about himself that was just so fucking hilarious, had a few in-jokes that you'd have to be a huge film nerd in order to catch on to. The world building ties into the message perfectly with these living embodiments of sleep, dreams, insomnia, and loud noises. You left out quiet, asshole. Who ironically work together, and the movie has an ingenious way of exploring how the good and bad aspects of night can exist without one another. Some of us need to go to sleep to rest our bodies, others need to stay awake longer so that we can get shit done before we go to bed. My favorite of these embodiments has to be Sleep, even though just looking at her, she looks like Telly but blue, but her ways of putting people to sleep were, for lack of a better term, pretty dark for a kid's movie, and that was one thing I wasn't actually expecting. Orion in the Dark is not afraid to have a morbid sense of humor. There are these 2D animated montages of the things Orion is afraid of in the worst case scenarios, and they push how graphic they can get for a PG as much as they possibly can, and I really respect Netflix for going all out on that. The animation's nothing spectacular outside of the 2D montages, and you would think that a movie about a kid learning to face his fears and enjoy more of life, that there'd be more of an element of whimsy to it, but it's serviceable enough. Probably my favorite moments animation-wise are when Dark is literally turning day into nighttime by just floating through the earth. It was a pretty nice visual. Orion, on the other hand, is probably the weak spot of the movie and is really tough to root for. I can't say I was annoyed by him. In fact, I did see a little bit of myself in him in the fact that even as an adult, there are a shit ton of things I'm afraid of that I shouldn't be. And I do like that they address the fact that as we get older, there are going to be new things we're afraid of or stuff that we thought we conquered, but we need to relearn in order to face again. That life is all about how fears are obstacles that we need to overcome day in and day out over and over again. That is a good message, but it takes way too damn long for him to even get to phase 1. The first 10 minutes of him is one giant info dump about how he's afraid of literally everything that can go wrong, and for the first half of his journey, he literally points out every single flaw that can come with it as opposed to seeking out the fun. Hey look, we're flying! I can fall off you and die! Check out those fireworks, we can fly under them. They're called fireworks. Here's a quiet, empty field with nothing dangerous. It's too quiet! I don't even know why I'm complaining about this. That's called a shot in the dark. It doesn't help that he's not really a fleshed out character. We never learn where all of these fears come from, which is kind of important because part of what helps us face fears is by discovering where it came from, why they manifested so we can overcome them. And his parents are constantly pushing and pushing for him to grow up and mature, and he's allegedly seeing a school counselor, but we never see his appointments. We know that he's trying to follow one piece of advice, but not that consistently. Plus, what age is this kid supposed to be? Like, Jacob Tremblay is a great voice actor, don't get me wrong, but he sounds way too damn old to be playing a kid with this many fears, and from what I can tell, isn't even in middle school yet, and I find that very weird because in typical Charlie Kaufman factor, a 12-year-old kid has a book of David Foster Wallace, for God's sake, because, you know, we all loved David Foster Wallace when we were 12, right? But probably the biggest issue with Orion in the Dark is its last third, and in all fairness, Kaufman structures the entire story of the movie as a bedtime story to this little girl, kind of like Princess Bride, but then the little girl inserts herself into the story, interacting with the characters, and having all this knowledge that they don't, and even though there's technically an explanation as to how this is possible, it still felt like it made no damn sense whatsoever. The stakes were brought down considerably now that everybody knows this is just a story and everything's going to be all tightly wrapped up. It even takes away from Orion's arc because now he's not really coming up with his own solution to fix the mess that he made. She is. She's fixing his mess and learning his lesson, and sure, she technically is facing the same fears that he is, but we barely see her struggle with those fears, and when she does overcome them, it's like it was absolutely nothing, and just when you think that the movie is over, it goes on for another 20 minutes to justify how meta and insightful this twist is, and really, it's just meta for the sake of being meta. It doesn't really serve the story all that much, and imagine my surprise that Charlie Kaufman would try to subvert expectations just for the hell of it, right? So in the end, is Orion in the Dark Inside Out light? Yeah, kinda. In fact, the climax even rips off Soul a little bit. But yeah, you know what? I don't even know what else there is to say about it. Its heart is definitely in the right place, and it is, for the most part, pretty consistent with its message, but it needed to be a lot more entertaining for it to be as impactful as the movies it's trying to replicate. Guys, thanks as always for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of Orion in the Dark, or what's your opinion of Charlie Kaufman in general? Do you like his collaborations with Spike Jonze, or do you prefer his solo projects? Whatever they are, let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more reviews. Take care.